So I assume by now it's pretty much a done deal. So, I've called the Pac-12 conference Radio Shack. You can use another Bed Bath & Beyond. If you'd like to go ahead and go Sears, that would be fine too. I could use Austin comparisons, but no one would know what they are. I could say Holiday House or some of these places that none of you have any idea what they are. So we'll stick with Radio Shack. Sears for those that don't know Radio Shack. I was wrong. It's actually worse than those. I would say Blockbuster as well, but guess what? It's more clueless than Blockbuster. It's more outdated than Blockbuster. The Pac-12 is the phone book. The Pac-12, remember the white pages? Like, what was that about? What was the point of the white pages? I know the yellow pages. A little sketchy at times. But I don't quite get the white pages. What was going on there? Was that All of Us or was that I don't even know what it was. Okay, either way, it's the phone book. The Pac-12 conference is the phone book. Radio Shack right now for the Pac-12 conference would be considered innovative. It would be considered up to date. It would be considered progressive. The Pac-12 is the phone book. Now, the opposite of the Pac-12 conference is the Big 12 conference, because the Big 12 conference had every right and every reason to give up. I mean, just throw their hands in the air, have a fit, and just quit. The Pac-12, I think, has quit. The Big 12 has not quit. The Big 12 should have quit. The minute Texas announced that it's taking its money and the divorce is final, the Big 12 was losing its sugar daddy. The Big 12 was losing its trust fund. The Big 12 was losing the revenue stream. But guess what? That league, unlike the phone book league, that league did not whine. That league got busy. It never missed a beat. Look, is it life going to be the same without Texas? No, it's not. There's only one of those. There's only one sugar daddy. I mean, really, really rich sugar daddy. There may be other sugar daddies. I don't know. But the Big 12 has been smart. The Big 12 has been hardworking. The Big 12 has been, to say the least, aggressive. And not only is it alive today, it's moving along really nicely. The Big 12... any minute, I think, is the way to say this, any minute we'll be adding Colorado. Now, there's a lot of elements to that. It's a big move for a number of reasons. And initially, you're going to say, well, who really cares? I mean, look, I'm a fan of Boulder anyway, but who really cares? I mean, they don't care about football. I wouldn't care about football if I was. When I'm in Boulder, I could care less about football. But they don't care until now. Everyone cares now. Well, Jeff, they were terrible. I know. They suck. They're awful. They are the ticket now. They are must-see TV now. So the Big 12, the move to get Colorado works on a number of levels. Now, it might implode, but along the way, this is nothing short of brilliant. What's left of the Pac-12 now pretty much says we're dying here. So let me give you the reason number one why what the Big 12 is doing and being so aggressive and making this move to get Colorado is going to throw the door open. It's not going to ever go back to the days of having Texas hand everybody money. But I tell you what, at the path that it's on, it's not going to be that far off. Here's why. You go and get Colorado, you say, Jeff, Colorado is the worst football program in the United States last year, and that is actually true. They won one game, lost by an average of 26 points a game, which is the highest in the FBS, but that's not the storyline with Colorado, and you know it. You know it. The Pac-12 and other members of the Pac-12 are looking around today and saying, man, that Ward guy's right. We are the phone book. Let's get out of here. Okay? That's why it's significant. Because if you are, I don't know if I guess Stanford and Cal are just going to play each other every week, which they're not that worried about football either, but there's going to be nothing left of the league. And the Big 12 has positioned itself as the place for them to go. Like they can look up and say, and I'm sure the Big 12 is calling because the Big 12 didn't give up. The Big 12 is calling saying, Colorado's coming. So you could stay there and, you can watch Cal and Stanford play intramural football in the future. Or you could just make a quick trip to the Big 12 and you're going to be okay. Not great, but you're going to be okay. And it's the place to go. It makes perfect sense. Now Arizona State and Utah have to be looking for a home. Their sugar daddy, USC, left. So did UCLA. So Big 12, by making these moves and being so aggressive, is saying, look, guys, get away from the phone book. Get away from the strip mall. Just come over here. Do what Colorado's doing. And they're going to have to say, that's a pretty good idea. You're right. We can't sit around much longer. We're really going to die because Stanford and Cal don't care, so we do care. So reason number one is the Big 12, by doing this, has positioned itself for everyone else. It's just said, we're going to have a West Coast division, and you guys can come along. And those are big schools. Those are schools with money. The next biggest reason, or maybe the biggest reason, at least for the short term, Deion Sanders. I don't care if you're sick of him already or not. I know plenty of coaches are sick of him already. But you know what he does do? He moves the needle. All of a sudden, your league is must-see. Colorado was on TV, I believe it's their first game against TCU, national TV. Do you think that's because anybody really wants to watch Colorado? No. The most compelling story in college football is coming to the Big 12. That's him. I think their team will improve. I don't know how much. They don't have to be great. He's the story. He matters. He is a walking, talking media machine. So Colorado is terrible right now. But if you get Colorado in year 2 and beyond, and he's still around, which, maybe year 3 or 4 he's gone, but in year 2 or 3, guess what you get? Colorado, who matters a lot, and Deion Sanders, who's the biggest story in the game. You might just be you are getting the sexiest draw on TV. I didn't say the best football, but that's okay for now. What does the Big 12 need? It needs some televisions. It needs some eyeballs. It needs to matter. It needs to cut through the clutter. They pulled it all off with that move. Makes perfect sense for Colorado. Makes perfect sense for Deion Sanders. I wouldn't want to sell against that guy in the South. You kidding me? So it's a big market. It's must watch because of him. It absolutely is. So, got phone book over here, white pages, yellow page, whatever the page. Man, those things were giant, man. I wonder how profitable they are. It's amazing. What is the exact death date of the phone book? Let's take a look. Let's think about that for a second. I mean, I know it feels like it didn't really happen in your life, but it couldn't have been that long ago. Ed probably still has a phone book. Remember, it would be you would hear it when they would drop it on your doorstep. Like, boof. And then it got smaller and smaller, and then it just went away. We never heard from it again. Those were good jobs, man, to sell that. What was the last publishing date? Isaac, what is the last publishing date of the phone book?
I'm still looking for the exact publishing date, but it is looking like October 14th, 2010, when regulators in New York approved Verizon's request to stop mass producing residential phone books is when it declined. So pretty soon after that. Okay, so that was, we probably ought to stop doing this, and then there was not long after we give up. Pretty sure, yeah. I think within a year or two, they were just gone. So let's a roundabout way. 2012. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm going with phone book today. I'm going all in on phone book. I'm going to find as many ways as possible to mention the phone book. You can too. Report out now. Big 12 votes unanimously to accept Colorado as a new member. The Big 12's presidents and chancellors voted unanimously on a conference call to accept Colorado as a new member. The vote marks one of the final remaining steps to be completed for Colorado to leave the Pac-12 for the Big 12. Again, use the phone book. Is the phone book more dead than Radio Shack?
I feel like it is, but I could be off there. So I at some point today, it's supposed to be official. Well, why am I making a big deal out of it? I'm not saying that you're really going to care that much. I'm just going to use it as an example of how not to die when you're supposed to die. When Walmart comes to your town and they say, that's it, you're finished, the Big 12 didn't finish. They figured out a way. They reinvented themselves. And it was a vicious divorce. It was a divorce, and you are cut off from every penny. It's a prenup divorce. You got nothing. And that league has found a way to be relevant, and more so. One day, I don't know how long Deion Sanders stays at Colorado. It's entirely possible it ends in a flameout, or it's entirely possible they succeed and he bails. The Colorado storyline, because of Deion Sanders, is most likely short-term, one way or another. It's just set up that way. He's too big of a star. There's there's too much going on there. I get it. But in the years that you have him, the networks are drooling. And during that time, I keep thinking this, I don't know how Arizona State sucks in football all the time. I don't know. It's a giant school in a big city with some money. So maybe during that time, they get better. It's just the whole setup is as good as the Big 12 could have done. Really. It's as good as the Big 12 could have done. All right, 512-834-1027 on Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it this afternoon, which could change in the next 2 hours depending on lawsuits, at Jeff Ward Show.